Waltrip back in 1984, driving the Junior Johnson Chevrolet. Ready for the green flag as Harold Kinder holds them down on a turn 4, and Elliott will lead the charge. Elliott and Kolicki in the turn 1. Elliott has a half a car length advantage out of turn 1. Schrader slipping and sliding, but hangs on to it, and Kolicki will be in second spot by 2 car lengths in turn 3. Elliott the leader, Kolicki is second, Schrader third, and Ricky Rudd is fourth.
Mark got awfully loose down the front straightaway as one car bumped him as he came off at turn 4. Of course, we see a lot of that on the short tracks.
Single file racing now off the back straightaway. Bill Elliott leading the charge, and cars already on the move. Phil Parsons on the outside of the back straightaway. There's Elliott leading the way. Early on, these drivers will be taking advantage of some early lap going to school session.
Well, that was a real good shot coming off of the first lap with Ken Schrader. He really stepped on the gas. You can see him there in third place. He was trying as hard as he could to get around Kolicki as early as possible, and the wheels spun on him.
Earnhardt making his move up to the field. Dale Earnhardt really making a rocket run to the front. Earnhardt now back in the back of the pack, starting back in 22nd spot. Now moving in on the Tom Petty car.
Look at the jump Dale Earnhardt got on Darrell Waltrip. You know, they started side by side, and Dale Earnhardt is, what, 4, 5, maybe 6 positions ahead of
Yeah, he
Darrell
moved
Waltrip.
up in there. He moves around Kyle Petty, just passes him with ease. Earnhardt jumped up to the outside on the first couple of laps, and Waltrip got boxed in behind a couple of cars down on the inside and just couldn't get away. But Earnhardt gambled a little bit, went on the outside, and it has really paid off for him as he's picking off positions.
That's Earnhardt currently being shown in 16th spot, just back there behind the Greg Sachs car. Sachs driving for Buddy Baker in the Red Baron Oldsmobile. And meanwhile, you know, Darrell Waltrip being caught back in heavy traffic back in the field, and a lot of traffic back where Waltrip is. There's Earnhardt now making a move on the inside of Greg Sachs, and Sachs will slam the door down in turn 1. Top 10. Here at the Holly Farms 400, Bill Elliott the leader. Alan Kolicki running second. Rudd is third. Jeff Bodine fourth. And Gant is fifth. There's the top 10. We'll be back in just a moment. Battle up front here in the Wilkesboro Speedway. Alan Kolicki moving to the inside of turn 2. Elliott trying to hang on. Elliott on the high road. Kolicki on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3. And Rudd has the best seat in the house.
Well, they're getting ready to line up and go right by Elliott. See Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd all falling in place. Elliott's going to try his best to drop down low, but there's a car filling the hole with Ricky Rudd right there and Jeff Bodine right behind Ricky Rudd. So they're going to try their best to keep Bill Elliott on the outside. Well,
remember, Bodine is the driver on the Hoosier tires, and Ned, the concern was about the 50-lap mark. What would happen? And we're just a few laps shy of 50.
And it looks like that car is getting very good traction coming off the turns, and that's where they thought the Hoosier tires might work best, is giving them traction off the turns, because as the race goes on, it gets very slippery. It's hard to get traction. You run a very low gear here at North Wilkesboro, which puts a lot of strain on the tires as you come off the turns. However, Ricky Rudd is on good gear, and he's coming up there staying right with Alan Kolicki. So I guess it depends on how you have your race car set up.
Boy, they lined up and went right by Bill Elliott. He's in 5th position. In 1 lap time, he went from 1st to 5th.
There's Alan Kolicki going by our in-car camera and the Hardee's race cam there, and Dale Jarrett's car. Alan Kolicki in the car number 7, the Xerox 4. He's being pursued by the 26 car. Of course, it's maybe the quickest car on the racetrack right now, because he's just got a lot of horsepower off the corners. That, of course, is Rudd, and you just see Rudd coming in your picture there, and Dale Jarrett trying to hang on inside of Rudd. Rudd will really push that throttle in and shoot by Jarrett down that back stretch.
And here's Harry Gant coming into the picture also. Car number 33 that's on the outside of Dale Jarrett there at the moment. Gant is currently running in the 4th position. He has moved around Bill Elliott and has caught that front running pack. Gant starting back in the 7th position, worked his way up now to 4th, and he really likes this racetrack. In fact, his last win came here at North Wilkesboro, I believe.
Exactly 3 years ago, Harry Gant's last win came in the Holly Farms 400 in 1985.
Rudd got a nose under it, but just couldn't make it stick. Allen's car working pretty good down on the inside. It slips up a little bit as he comes off of the turn, but so does Rudd's.
Alan Kolicki has to be a sentimental favorite to get that first Winston Cup win. A lot of people think if he's going to get it, it'll come on the short tracks. Now, we're not disparaging at all his Winston Cup Super Speedway experience, but he is awfully strong in the short tracks. And many believe he should have won at Martinsville. A miscue in the pits, an air impact wrench problem, and he could have won it. He made up a lap under green. And he says, I will win today if the car holds together. I will be up front. And when he was introduced before the race, he got a standing ovation from this crowd here in Western North Carolina.
He has become a very popular race driver. Of course, he's won 4 of the Wilkesboro Awards so far this year, so he's proven that his car is fast and he drives past trouble.
Trouble up in turn 4. Kyle Petty spins in this field, splitting, going around Kyle Petty. There's Elliott as he moves by. Rick Wilson, Phil Parsons, so we're under yellow for the first time today. The first caution flag of the afternoon here at the Wilkesboro Speedway, and Kyle Petty has looped it coming out of turn 4.
Now here's where we're going to be able to see the pit crews in action with Alan Kwiecki leading. We'll see where he comes out of the pits.
Okay, here's a replay of what happened up there. Dale Earnhardt had just gone around Kyle Petty and looked like he might have got bumped a little bit by Lee Falk as Kyle's car hit the inside curbing and around and caught just a piece of the car number 88 of Greg Sachs.
So Kyle gets an assist from Lee Falk in spinning that car around out of turn 4. And the leaders are on pit road. Kwiecki is in everyone in on this first yellow flag of the day. And we will watch some of this pit activity. Let's go to the Jeff Bodine pits and Dick Berggren.
Well, Jerry, they are ready for a pit stop here, and they're about the only ones that are going to put Hoosier tires on. I just took inventory up and down pit road, and everybody else is going with Goodyears. Benny's at the other end of pit road. Benny, what do you see down there?
Dick, I'm in the 9, the Bill Elliott pit there, going back with Goodyears. This was a very opportune pit. Caution flag for Bill Elliott because he was slipping back.
Indeed he was, Benny. And Gary Nelson, would you, as a crew chief, after sitting here for 50 laps and watching what Jeff Bodine's car would do, would you jump now and go ahead and switch from Goodyear to Hoosier?
No, I don't think so, because Jeff was on the move, and then Harry Gant came along with the Goodyears and went on around Jeff. So I think that Jeff maybe had a spurt there with his Hoosiers, but Harry Gant proved that the Goodyears were still outrunning him.
And here's our leader back up front there. And of course, that is Ricky Rudd, 26, the Quaker State car. You know, that's the story, Ned. A lot of the crews thought maybe the Hoosiers would be okay for 40, 50 laps, but then they would go away.
Well, as Dick Berggren pointed out at the top of the show, every team was going to be watching Jeff Bodine and those other few cars that had the Hoosier tires on them to see how they did work after they had run for a while. And as Gary pointed out, cars were running in front of him that still had on Goodyear, and also one car passed him, that Harry Gant, passing Jeff Bodine, and he had Goodyear, so they want to make a switch right now. Johnson shops next year. Here's Ricky Rudd now moving up to put a lap on Brett Bodine. Brett is currently running in the 17th position, so Ricky Rudd is really putting this field, a lot of them, to rest, or at least a lap down.
We mentioned the fact that Harry Gant's ride, the car of 33, the Mach 1 car, is for sale. Now, Ricky Rudd's car owner, we told, there's Ricky, the current leader. His car owner, Kenny Bernstein, we understand, made an offer to Hal Needham to buy that team. They didn't really want the team per se. I think he wanted his shop to build his engine program. And everyone in the garage seems to believe that if Rudd gets the engine program together now with the new engine builder, Lou LaRosa, who had been with Dale Earnhardt for 3 Winston Cup championships, and LaRosa will be with this team next year. Watch out for Rudd in that King Racing effort.
But you see Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine in a little bit of a predicament here. The cars that are being allowed are supposed to move to the inside and let the leaders go around on the outside. So here's Ricky Rudd with one car trying to move the inside of Michael Waltrip. Ricky Rudd needs to go around him on the outside, and now he goes to the inside also.
Mike Waltrip for the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac up in turn 3, and now Rudd will go to the inside, and he will take Jeff Bodine with him as they have now involved 5 horse Brett Bodine and Bobby Dillon. And apparently Rudd really has the muscle coming on the corner. Bodine runs it on in the turns. Rudd just pumps that throttle and just pulls him by 2 or 3 carlings coming down the straightaway.
He's getting good traction off the turn, and that is the key on the short track, is getting good traction off the turn. Now you see a couple of cars up in front of him. Mark Martin is the next car. Martin's running in the 16th position. Car number 2 made an unscheduled pit stop early, so he was a couple laps down.
And contact there as Rudd's car just gets a little bit loose, and Bodine has to get on the binders. Ricky Rudd gathers it back in, but now Bodine will have lost a number of spots back to Ricky Rudd, about 6 car lengths separating those 2 cars. And Rudd did a masterful job of keeping that car from spinning.
Oh, that was a close one. You see the big dent on the front of Jeff Bodine's right front fender where he hit the back of Ricky Rudd's car. That was a great job of driving by. You can see him waving, giving Jeff Bodine hand signals. Stay back a little bit.
And Rudd has nowhere to go. Those cars running side by side now. Mark Martin finally gets around the car number 2, and that does give Ricky a groove to run in for several laps. He simply has nowhere to go. He's just in there figuring which one of those drivers is going to pass the other one first. As it turned out, Mark Martin followed the right guy.
Mark Martin in the car number 6 there, the Strode Light Ford out of Jack Roush stable. Martin surprised. He qualified 6th and many thought he'd be a contender for the pole, but they put fresh tires on the car and slipped and slide during qualifying, and now he's left early on here. Somewhat of a surprise. Young Mark Martin, a good short track driver.
He has a lot of short track experience, a lot of winning short track experience in the Midwest and ASA ARCO competition.
For the lead back in the Wilkesboro Speedway. I'm Jerry Punch along with Ned Jarrett and Gary Nelson, Benny Parsons and Dick Berggren, and Ricky Rudd has been holding the lead at 155 laps, and Jeff Bodine moves to the inside and puts the colors of that yellow numeral car number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, and Rudd says, whoa, a little bit of fender banging, Ned.
Yes, he wanted to get the lead back. Jeff caught him in some traffic and moved on the inside and just took away the lead, but now Rudd has muscled his way right back up front.
Muscle is right. I believe these guys are getting at it. Gary, you know, this is the last short track race of the year, and some of these short track cars will never race again. They'll end up in a mall or a shopping center as a show car, so I'm sure the car owner said, hey, you guys, go at it.
Well, they're approaching this race with a whole different attitude than they had here 2 weeks ago. They are thinking about, yeah, this is the last short track race. Yeah, the points, you know, especially Ricky Rudd, he's not in the points at all with all of his engine failures. Yeah, yellow flag is out for some reason. I don't see any reason yet.
Okay, well, that'll be a break that a lot of drivers are looking for, that they want to come into the pits and get some fresh tires on those cars, because there were some of them that were sliding all over the place.
And we'll keep an eye on Bill Elliott, the pole setter. Remember, Benny Parsons has told us they had those Hoosiers ready to go on the Elliott car, as now the yellow flag waving by Harold Kinder, and they will be feeding time at the zoo. Everyone making that left-hand turn down pit road. Here is Rudd and Bodine. As we will watch these leader pit stops, let's go to Benny Parsons in the Rudd pit. Benny?
Ricky Rudd pulls the car to the stop. They're going around to the right side. All the rest of the cars are coming right behind him. There's the Kenny Schrader car right behind Rudd. Here comes the Bill Elliott car into his pits. They have the right side change on Rudd's car. They're going to the left. They're putting the Goodyear tires back on Rudd's car. Bill Elliott is going to switch to a Hoosier. Up on pit road is Dick Berggren.
Jeff Bodine just pulled out of his pit, but Ricky Rudd beats him out because of where he was pitted. Rudd is way down pit road, and that was the difference. Actually, Jeff Bodine left his pit stall earlier. Bodine has stuck with the Hoosier tires he started the race with. More stickers just went on Jeff Bodine's car.
So we've already seen the strategy unfold here on pit road as far as pit position being so critical, Gary, and now the tires. We have Goodyears back on the car number 26, and we have Hoosiers on the Elliott car, and back on, of course, the Bodine car.
Boy, what a battle! You know, between the two tire companies, like we were talking, really all race long. We've got the leader running the Goodyears and the second place car on the Hoosiers.
Lead twosome up front back at Wilkesboro Speedway. They remain the same. 31-year-old Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia. We are 178 laps complete here, and running second as the car spins around. Richard Petty has been riding up on that outside groove, just rim riding on the outside groove, nipped near the wall, has looped that car up out of turn 4. As the field now passing in review down on the bottom. Let's take a look and see what happened, Ned.
Okay, as he goes into turn 3, he's been running very, very high up on the racetrack. He got a little too high, got his tires out in the loose stuff, as they say, and it just spins around sideways. He didn't go all the way around. He was high enough on the racetrack that everybody else was able to get down on the inside and move around him.
Well, caution for the third time today for that spin by the 7-time Winston Cup champion, Richard Petty. 50 years of age. There's a look at the Winston Cup champion, the King. Richard Petty loops it in turn 4. Does a heck of a job to keep that STP Pontiac out of the wall. And Richard, of course, will fall back in line. And we are being shown the yellow flag. The safety car will pick up the field. And it looks like most of the cars will opt to stay on the racetrack. We've just had a caution a few laps ago, and everyone came in and pitted. Neil Bonnet will offer to come down pit road, as will the Mark Martin team and Brett Bodine.
Well, that's what everybody is saying. Ricky Rudd is the toughest car on the racetrack. These guys would like to beat him. Now is their time. The green flag is out.
Well, the green flag flies once again, and so does Ricky Rudd. Rudd seems to have the advantage when the green first comes back out while the tires are cool. Sterling Marlin now hanging on the inside. He is shown now in 13th spot, 1 lap down, and he is fighting for his life. He is trying to get that lap back. He's on the inside of the racetrack, but Rudd just has too much muscle coming out of turn 4. Out of turn 2, Sterling Marlin now hangs on the bottom groove, and Jeff Bodine content to sit back there in the car number 5. That is Bodine. He is sitting back there watching Marlin, and Marlin really gets a good bite out of turn 4 and pulls in front of Rudd. Now Sterling Marlin would like to see another yellow flag, a quick one, if he can try to hang on in front of Ricky Rudd. And look at the inside. Here is Mr. Bodine, Jeff Bodine, having never won at Wilkesboro Speedway, trying to get inside Ricky Rudd. And the man who's sitting back there, you just see the top of his car. Now the whole car is Dale Earnhardt. Look at Ironhead, the nickname they call him, Dale Earnhardt, back in 3rd spot in the Goodrich Chevrolet.
Well, you know, also coming into the picture there is Rusty Wallace. Everybody up there in front trying to get up, leading a few laps. Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace are both very intent on getting to the lead.
Well, Ricky got sort of frustrated there when Sterling Marlin trying to get his lap back, which that's what Sterling had to do. He needed to move to the inside, and he did exactly what the rules called for you to do, but he had the fast groove, and he was able to stay down there and get his lap back, but now Jeff Bodine about to put him a lap down again, but it sort of frustrated Rudd, I believe, a little bit, but he's backed off, cooled off a little bit there now, and we'll see what he can do.
Jeff Bodine, his last 7 trips at Wilkesboro Speedway, he has finished 2nd twice, 3rd once, and 5th 4 times. He's never won, we say, in a Winston Cup car, although he did pick up a win in an open-wheel modified car for NASCAR racing back here in 1980.
Well, you can imagine Dale Earnhardt said, okay, Rusty, you can pass me, but you're going to have to do it on the outside because I'm going to protect the inside. And Rusty Wallace saying, come on, give me a little bit of a break on the inside. I know I can get around you.
He's certainly making him work for it, no question about that. And he also knows that when he's working for it out there that he's using his race car and his tires up.
You can see Dale Earnhardt there in the 3 car, giving Rusty Wallace the 27 car, the outside of the track. Saying, if you're going around me, you're going to have to do it on the outside. A spin right behind him.
Trouble in turn 2. Harry Gannon loops it around and is on the bottom of the racetrack. Tough luck for Harry. We mentioned that car had been smoking early in the race and possibly some oil on the headers. As Gant's car slipping and sliding, he was trying to hang on to it, couldn't quite keep it straight. The car spins, and now he sits on the grass trying to get the car refired as we are under caution for the 4th time today. And the leader, of course, now after the pit stops coming out, we are showing great pit stops by some of the lead cars. Dale Earnhardt's 3-time world champion pit crew got him out by virtue of great pit work, but by also virtue, Gary, of great pit selection.
Well, he's got that last pit on right there on the left of your screen, or on the right of your screen now, coming off of the pit road. He's at the last pit leaving pit road, and that really gives him a jump. Right there where that man's standing, that's Earnhardt's last pit. Let's go to Benny Parsons down in the pits.
Gary Nelson, these fellas are all over these tires that came off Darrell Waltrip's tide machine, checking the circumference of them, making sure that the stagger stayed the same, because that what the stagger does means how they're going to have to adjust the car. As soon as they were able to lay them down, 4 people went straight to them and started measuring them to make sure. They were having trouble measuring this one, just to make sure where the stagger is so they can adjust the car.
That's Bill Wilburn there, this tire specialist for the Tide team. In fact, a good tire specialist is probably as important as a good crew chief.
Well, you can see him there with the tape measure. He's measuring the circumference of the tire, comparing the inside to the outside, trying to get them matched up just right.
Back to green, and more importantly, Dale Earnhardt has now led a lap. So Earnhardt has picked up those 5 bonus points, and Rusty Wallace says, I need to lead one. Wallace comes like out of a chute, a rocket chute down the back straightaway, moves up on Earnhardt, and it's a half a car length out of turn 4. Out of turn 2, Earnhardt trying to hold off the likes of Rusty Wallace. Jeff Bodine is 3rd, Ricky Rudd is 4th, and Bill Elliott now being shown back in 5th spot as he leads a gaggle of cars. A lot of traffic now bunched up out of turn 4 with the man who leads them, the man who won 6 of 8 short track events a year ago in this same race car. It's the same car they used all last year on the short tracks, and that, of course, is Dale Earnhardt.
Boy, heavy traffic back in the pack there. Dale Earnhardt really getting a nice, easy run before they get into the lap traffic. He's got clear sailing ahead of him.
Jerry, his car is working better in the turns than is Dale Earnhardt's. Now, Earnhardt is going to be tough to pass, but Rudd's car is working well enough that I believe that he'll be able to set him up and do it.
Dale Earnhardt coming all the way back from the starting spot, 22nd on the field to lead here at North Wilkesboro. And Ricky Rudd, though, has been the man of the hour. He's been the strong horse here most of the afternoon. But he's currently running in second spot, but he just called Earnhardt down in turn 1.
Well, I'll tell you guys, it's going to be tough to figure out who the driver of the race today is going to be. Look at the show of performance, the performance we've seen from Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt. All of the guys that have been up front today have all put on such a show.
Well, Lake Speed right there on the lower groove. Speed, one of the slower cars now, doing the best he can, but for a moment, Rudd will have to fall back in line behind Earnhardt. Rudd had made his move on the inside, but then the slower car Speed was there. Earnhardt using every trick in the book to use that lap traffic as much as he can to stay out front.
The Speed going down 2 laps. He was already 1 lap down to the leaders, running in the 17th position.
Earnhardt trying to get that coveted short track win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Earnhardt has won here twice at North Wilkesboro, but he's never won in the Holly Farms 400. Both of his wins coming in the spring race here. Earnhardt having won back in 1986 and, of course, last year in 87, both in the spring.
Boy, what an importance the pit crew plays at this racetrack. You know, Ricky Rudd was the leader during the last caution period, came in the pits, and Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace beat Ricky Rudd out of the pits, and it's been this long for Ricky Rudd to get back to the ground that he's lost just to get to Dale Earnhardt's back bumper. Now he has to pass him to regain just to get back where he was before the caution.
And Dale Earnhardt knows that if you lead the most laps in a Western Cup race, you get another 5-point bonus. So he'd like to stay out there as long as possible, but it might not be possible too long, because here comes Ricky Rudd down on the inside as they go into turn 3. Can he do it, Jerry?
Rudd's got the inside groove. There's a lot of lap traffic. Ricky will have to hurry if he's going to get by Earnhardt, because they're coming up on some traffic. Rudd's got him by a fender as they head for 1, but Earnhardt comes back strong on the outside, and they're in turn 1. Now, just in front of them will be the Kyle Petty car. Rudd knows Kyle is there. He jumps in the throttle and pulls Earnhardt by a car length, and Ricky Rudd, the new leader here in the Holly Farms 400.
Boy, that car is getting a bite off the turns. He was down on the inside. When you can do that and pull up beside of somebody else and maintain traction, pull on around them, that means that the car is really working.
That number 26 car is very fast today. It is unbelievable that to pass Dale Earnhardt like he did. You know, everybody's seen Dale Earnhardt passing cars all day. I don't think anybody's passed Earnhardt but Ricky Rudd so far today.
And Alan Kowicki is here in the garage area. Alan, the motor go?
Yeah, it did. You know, it's really too bad. We're running pretty well and moving up. Xerox Amoco 4 Thunderbird was running good when we blew an engine.
And that's it for the day. Benny Parsons, has been a lot of activity on pit road as a result of this. What has happened in particular to Ricky Rudd?
You know, Dick Berger and Larry McReynolds was just telling me. A pit stop, 4 tires, a little over 21 seconds, and guess what?
Got beat by 2 cars. I don't know what to do. More power to them. We just have to outrun them on the racetrack.
I watched your pit stop, Larry. It looked like a fantastic pit stop.
I know it, but them guys down pit road, they've been at it a little longer than us. All we're going to do is just keep working. Like I say, you have a 21.8 and get beat, ain't nothing you can do but just smile and say, well, they beat us.
Okay, Larry, thanks.
And the 2 cars that beat him, you guessed it, Earnhardt's crew, the Goodrich crew, and the Rusty Wallace Kodiak crew. As a safety car pulls away, we are under 100 laps to go. Make it 94 laps to the checkered flag at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And up front again, that black and silver numeral car number 3, the Goodrich Chevrolet, in green flag waves for Dale Earnhardt. He leads the charge down in turn 1. It's Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, and then the crew chief you just heard from, Larry McReynolds' driver, that's Ricky Rudd. Rudd going around the outside of the car number 17. Remember, Waltrip is showing 1 lap down. Rudd is 3rd, and then, of course, Bill Elliott showing in 4th spot.
Rusty Wallace really working on Dale Earnhardt. And I made a wager that they'd put Goodyear tires back on that car number 27, but they didn't. They still have Hoosier tires on it, so I was wrong. He apparently was happy with the Hoosier tires, and right now they're working good for him.
And Rusty Wallace, remember, he needs to lead a lap. He has not led, and now's the best chance he'll have possibly today to lead a lap and to get around Earnhardt. So Wallace saving nothing for the end. He jumps back in that throttle out of turn 4, but has got a full view of the rear bumper of that Goodrich Chevrolet. Wallace now trying to get some room on the inside, but Earnhardt's car working so well on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, going into the turns, it looks like that Rusty's able to jump up there on him, but coming off, as you say, Earnhardt's car is working good there, getting good traction at this point of the race, and when you can do that coming off the turns here, you can keep a man behind you.
That's a good shot. You can see the difference in when they hit the gas pedal and when they let off the gas. Right here especially, you can see Rusty Wallace go into the turn a little deeper, but then Dale Earnhardt right here gets on the gas a little sooner, and Rusty starts coming back as they get onto the straightaway.
But look at that green car of Ricky Rudd coming back up there. He had to dispose of Darrell Waltrip, the left car, before he could get up there and start doing battle with them, and Ricky is definitely gaining on him. He's shown all afternoon that he has the fastest car.
Let's take a look at the caution summary. The lap 59, caution number 1, the 21 car of Kyle Petty spun. That lasted 4 laps. An infield emergency for getting one of the crew members out from an accident on pit road, 157 that lap. That was a length for 5 laps. Richard Petty spun on lap 180. The car number 33 of Harry Gant spun on lap 204. And the most recent caution on lap 303 for oil on the backstretch by virtue of the blown engine from Alan Kulwicki.
Jerry, we have a report that a couple of cars that had switched to Hoosiers have gone back to Goodyear. That's the cars of Terry Labonte, the Budweiser Chevrolet, and Phil Parsons in the Crown Skull Oldsmobile. They tried the Hoosier tires a while, but now they've gone back to Goodyear. Both of those cars still running in the lead lap. At 300 laps, they were being shown in the 7th and 8th position in the lead lap.
Rusty Wallace trying to wedge his way beneath the Dale Earnhardt machine, and he's got it there. And Earnhardt is in the middle groove, and Rusty has the grass and part of the bottom groove out of turn 2. And Rusty will hang in there. Wallace now needs to lead a lap. His car's sideways, but he hangs on, and Rusty Wallace will get that lap as the fans are on their feet, waving and shouting, loving every lap of it here. These two guys respect each other, and Earnhardt says, hey, I'm back here. As you see pieces of that rear bumper in the Kodiak Pontiac come separated there in turn 2.
I think Dale Earnhardt knocked part of his right front headlight out. You can see the bumper of Rusty Wallace's car caved in, and some pieces of aluminum or something came off of one of the cars as they bumped there.
Now we'll see if Wallace can pull away a little bit from Earnhardt, because Wallace knows how strong Rudd is. He also knows how difficult Earnhardt is to pass. So if Rusty can get a little bit of momentum in that car and pull away somewhat, maybe he can put some distance between himself and that green car, the third place machine of Ricky Rudd.
And what they're doing, Gary, when they try to pick that high groove.
Whoa, trouble out of turn 2. The leader has gotten involved with Jimmy Means, and Rusty Wallace was trying to get around Jimmy Means, and Means moved high, Wallace moved high, and Means moved to the inside, and the cars came together. And there you see Jimmy Means' Sonny King Ford, Bullseye Barbecue Ford, has tagged that inside wall, and Means loops it back around, gets the car refired, and the Forest City, North Carolina driver will be back on his way. But a tough break. Rusty Wallace at the front of his car getting together with Jimmy Means out of turn 2.
Well, Rusty, he stayed, what is he now, in third position, so he didn't lose that much ground, but the front of his car is bent up. We hope it didn't change the front end alignment.
Well, I'm sure he'll be coming into the pits now, and his crew will take a look at it. Dale Earnhardt leads them down into the pits, and sure enough, here comes all the cars down pit road.
Looks to be minimal damage on the Rusty Wallace Kodiak Pontiac, so we'll check on pit road and see exactly how severely that car is injured, as everybody is on pit road. Rusty Wallace is in for service, and you see him going to work. Let's take a look and see what happened out of turn 2.
Well, we see Rusty trying to move on the inside of Jimmy Means, and Jimmy didn't realize that he was down there. He was going to pull down to the inside of the racetrack and give him room to move on the outside, but Rusty had already made his commitment to move on the inside, and the result was, of course, that Jimmy spins to the inside. Let's go to the pits and Dick Bergeron.
Well, Rusty Wallace's car is not badly damaged, but what he has lost here is track position. About 4 or 5 cars beat him out of the pit area. It was simply a slow stop. No real reason for it. They didn't do any special work on the right front of that car other than to take a look at it. But Rusty got beaten coming out of the pits, and Earnhardt, as usual, was the first guy on the racetrack.
Well, a tough break for Rusty Wallace. There's Jimmy Means coming back down pit road as he heads back on the speedway. His car has apparently mostly sheet metal damage up front. Junie Dunleavy, the car owner there for Jimmy Means. And of course, Jimmy was trying to move down on the inside, as you said, Ned, out of turn 2. His car had been slipping high as well, and Jimmy just had to let the car set and pull it down off the racetrack. And before he could do it, as quickly as Wallace was running, he was already to the inside of Means, and the cars came together. Back at Wilkesboro Speedway, and you see the critical development here on pit road. Rusty Wallace is back in the pits, and the crew there checking the toe in on the car. And Gary, the toe in, of course, was the problem with the steering. Let's go to the pits there with Dick Berggren. Dick?
And I'm with Raymond Beadle, who owns this car. Raymond, is this thing damaged? They just took a look at the tow-in but didn't change anything.
Well, we're just going to check it real close, make sure, because, you know, there's only 7 cars, I think, on the lead lap. We get to pull back up pretty close to the front. So we're just going to make real sure everything's right so we'll have a good chance at the end.
And that's the story from Rusty Wallace pit. Tough break. He had a good shot to win this thing until he tangled with Jimmy Means.
Well, he may still have a great shot at winning it, Dick. We're not going to give up on Rusty Wallace, but you're right. It is a tough break for him, and there's the Haviland Ford coming in. Of course, Robert Yates and the crew for Davey Allison go to work on that car. Davey's had a pretty good run, currently being shown back in 9th position. Davey 1 lap down. Of course, in 8th would have been the Darrell Waltrip car. And again, Rusty Wallace back on pit road. The crew will go to work on that car. Gary?
Okay, what they did a minute ago, the last stop, was they took a string and they ran it down both sides of the car to check the front tow out. Apparently they found something wrong. Now they got the hood open and they're adjusting it. Let's go to Dick Berggren back down in Rusty's pits.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was a race car driver, Gary Nelson, I'd want you in my pits running it, because you had it exactly. What they did was they strung both sides so they didn't lose a lap. Then they went back out on the racetrack, picked up the back of the field, and now they've made the adjustment to put the tow in correct. So Rusty Wallace should be in good shape. Of course, they haven't had an opportunity to check their work. They're just hoping it's going to be aligned properly.
So that will move Phil Parsons into the 4th position. Labonte is running 5th. Now Rusty Wallace in 6th and Bill Elliott running in 7th position.
Back up front, and the battle heats up a little bit up front as Earnhardt now trying to hold off, and he gets a little bit of a tap from Ricky Rudd. Earnhardt's still out of shape, and Rudd will have the inside move. Let's see if Earnhardt can get back at him, but no, Rudd pushes the pedal and goes by. They head for turn 1, and Earnhardt says, okay, it's my turn. Turn 1, and here he goes. Rudd goes around. Earnhardt is on the brakes, Bodine's on the brakes, and Rudd is spun, and yellow flag. Well, that's interesting, Ned. Yep. It's tap 1, tap 2.
Watch and see what NASCAR does here. This is poor Ricky Rudd. Has been so strong all day, but he knows as well as everybody knows, when you mess with Dale Earnhardt, it's like messing with a hornet's nest.
Well, Dale Earnhardt, he got a nudge up until. Let's take a look and see what happened now. This is the second nudge apparently down in turn 1. Now Rudd had already gotten with Earnhardt, Ned.
He'd already gotten around him, and they go into turn 1. Rudd moves down on the inside. Earnhardt runs in there behind him a little bit harder than Rudd does, tries to dip down on the inside, taps him just a little bit, gets Rudd sideways, and on around he goes.
Earnhardt is hard on the brakes here, trying to keep him getting around in the door.
And we understand that they're going to put both of those drivers at the end of the lead pack. Now, they'll be coming down making pit stops now, but each of them did a little bit of bumping. Rudd bumped Earnhardt first going into turn 3, made the pass. And let's go to Dick Berggren now in Dale Earnhardt's pits.
Well, Ned Jarrett, if whatever bumping went on was certainly minor in nature, I can see the front of Dale Earnhardt's car, and it's just not damaged at all. There's just a little bit of a scratch up there, and that's part of short track racing. The left side, however, is well damaged. Benny Parsons, what's going on to you?
I'm down the Ricky Rudd pit. They're changing 4 tires. The only indication of anything that might have happened was just a moment ago, Larry McReynolds kind of shook his fist at Dale Earnhardt as he drove by.
There's going to be a lot of fist shaking going on between those two before today's over, I'm sure.
Well, it's heating up here in North Wilkesboro. It's a cool, crisp fall afternoon, and the leaves are changing and the tempers are flaring as we're getting down to the last few laps of the Holly Farms 400. And Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd going at it, 2 of the stronger cars. And there is Earnhardt now back on the racetrack as he has had a tire change. And NASCAR has effectively slapped them both on the hand by putting them, I guess, or we understand they are planning possibly to put them back on the tail end of the lead lap. We'll wait and see what happens.
I don't think that's happening, Jerry, because Earnhardt now is going back up to the head of the pack. He's leading the race, and they did not motion him to go to the back, at least not at this point.
Oh, there they go.
Now he's slowing up, and Bodine goes around him. So we are showing now less than 40 laps to go here at the Wilkesboro Speedway, and the leader showing is Jeff Bodine now. Bodine pulling up behind the safety car, and of course his teammate there, Kenny Schrader, who's being shown a lap down. Schrader was showing in 10th spot, 1 lap down, trying to relinquish that front spot. So Bodine will be the leader of note when we go back to green.
And this crowd is absolutely going wild about the circumstances here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Well, they like it. We're getting ready to go back to green here. They're on their feet for the final few laps. We're winding down. And Harold Kender flips those yellow lights out and waves that green flag. Hold on to your seats, folks, this isn't over yet because Bodine is up front, but those are the cars we're watching as they go to turn one. Rudd on the outside of Darrell Waltrip. A little bit of slipping and sliding by Kenny Schrader, and Schrader now the lap car on the inside gives way. And Bodine and Terry Labonte, the man who has won the last two events here at Wilkesboro Speedway. We haven't talked much about Labonte, but he certainly is a sleeper and is a strong car late in the race.
Yes, he's been right up in top 10 all day, finally moved into the top 5, and now into second position.
As they come across, there's Bodine, 0.6 of a second as the laps are winding down. Rusty trying to win this race here at the Wilkesboro Speedway, battling this man here. Bill Elliott is on the outside of Terry Labonte, and there is Ricky Rudd. They are battling back for fourth spot. Labonte is fourth, Elliott is fifth, and Elliott trying to take that fourth spot away. Bill Elliott up on the outside of the racetrack coming out of turn 4. Ricky Rudd has the best seat in the house for that battle. Rudd trying to decide, well, do I stay behind Labonte or do I follow Elliott? And now Rudd says, well, I'll make my own groove on the inside, but there's no room there at all coming out of turn 2.
Not enough room down there on the inside. Labonte continued to hold that inside groove, but it seems like the second groove or the outside groove is working better right now, so Ricky Rudd decides he'll try that, but Bill Elliott hasn't made the pass totally yet.
You got to be able to almost see the frustration in Ricky Rudd.
And Dave
there.
Marcus pins Dale Jarrett coming off of turn 4.
Right in front of the leaders. Here comes Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace.
Marcus got under Jarrett as he started off of the turn and got him crossways, and of course the caution comes out again.
Boy, what do you do now if you're the crew chief? Do you get tires? Do you stay out? Boy, it's going to be a lot of strategy right here.
Well, I tell you, I really can't imagine, you know, as tough as traffic has been here, someone taking a chance of coming in, particularly the top 2 or 3 cars.
The top few should stay out. The ones in the back should come in.
Yeah.
If the leader comes in, the ones in the back should stay out.
Well, Ernie Elliott is standing on the pit road with a pit board waiting for Bill Elliott. So, and also Terry Labonte's crew is out there waiting for his car, and Rusty Wallace's crew. Harold Elliott, the engine builder. There's the Elliott crew. And here comes Labonte, and here comes Dale Earnhardt down pit road.
Yeah, they had nothing to lose. They were going backwards. Earnhardt was back in 7th place, the last car on the lead lap, so he had no choice but to come in, and Labonte was going backwards as well.
Right side tires for the Goodrich and Budweiser crews, pitting nose to tail. Junior Johnson, the big gentleman there in the front of the car. As the laps wind down here in the Wilkesboro Speedway, we're under caution. Who will win it? Jeff Bodine, currently the leader. Final laps as we come back to the Holly Farms 400. Stay tuned.
Well, there's trouble up in turn 4. Dale Earnhardt trying to come up through the field has spun around, and several cars taken up in the melee.
Oh, they just restarted the race, and all of a sudden Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt got together.
Well, we might said what happened exactly. Earnhardt and Labonte came in and pitted and took on 4 fresh tires. Among the cars that didn't, well, none of the other leaders came in. Now, Rusty Wallace had actually beat Jeff Bodine back to the start-finish line when the Dale Jarrett car spun. So when we came back to green flag just a minute ago, Rusty Wallace was the leader and remains the leader. There's Wallace as the leader, Jeff Bodine in second spot. Now, Earnhardt comes bulleting up through the field with those fresh tires, and as they went on the outside in turn 3 and 4, Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd came together. Earnhardt's car spun around, tapped the outside retaining wall, and we are again for the 9th time of the day under the yellow flag.
And here's Michael Waltrip. He really got the worst end of that whole thing, I think, Jerry. The tires are just headed out, and apparently he has a steering arm broke or bent very badly. Let's see if we can see what did happen as they went into turn 3.
Earnhardt trying to move on the outside just to the right of your screen, and he gets together. There's Rudd and Labonte trying to miss Earnhardt up high. He is already spinning. Here comes Rick Wilson in the car number 4 by. Everybody trying to get on the binders. There's Lake Speed, Mark Martin, and Mark Martin just gets by. And of course, Martin's car is the one that nudges the side of the Mike Waltrip car. So Waltrip's car got some of that damage on the left front or the right front of his car from the toe in. But we're ready for green once again. Laps are winding down.
Just had a wreck on the backstretch. Bobby Hill and it ran into the back of Lake Speed, who ran into the back of Dale Earnhardt.
We're showing 4 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on to your seats. It's winding down here.
It's far from over yet. These guys are anxious.
4 laps. They got to come by us 4 times. Can they do it? Green flag, and Rusty Wallace trying to pick up his 2nd win in a row after winning at Charlotte Motor Speedway a week ago. Wallace leads the charge in turn 1. Wallace, the leader by 2 car lengths over Jeff Bodine. Bodine is 2nd. 3rd place, a strong effort by Phil Parsons. And here comes Bill Elliott in 4th. Elliott, the right of your screen in the car number 9.
carried the body with fresh tires on right behind Bill Elliott. He's just looking for a place to go because those fresher tires is better for him, but he didn't have any running room.
Jeff Bodine right on the bumper of Rusty Wallace. You know, Jeff's got to be upset with himself for not racing Rusty to the line, because Jeff really was the leader when the caution came out. White
flag this time by. Final lap. Can Jeff Bodine catch Rusty Wallace? And he nudges him in turns 1 and 2. Wallace a little bit out of shape. Bodine back on the inside. They are door to door. Down for the white flag. Final time. Here's Wallace back on the inside. And he nudges Jeff Bodine in turns 3 and 4. The crowd on their feet. It will be sideways. Rusty Wallace will win it here at Wilkesboro Speedway. I mean, they are on their feet, ladies and gentlemen, for an outstanding finish.
What a finish.
Rusty Wallace and Jeff Bodine.
Oh, Jeff Bodine passes Rusty Wallace, and Rusty passes him back using the same tactics.